The Rake, It Watches While You Sleep, Part 1. The first time I heard about the Rake, I thought it was a campfire story. Something teenagers swapped online to spook each other. Pale creature, claws like blades, crouched at the edge of the bed. A nightmare you could dismiss with the click of a browser tab. But then the emails started. In 2012, a woman named Erin sent me a message with "For your archive" in the subject line. Attached were 3 photographs, a police incident number, and a diary entry she claimed was written by her late husband. The photos were grainy, taken in low light. The first showed scratches on a wooden window frame, for long grooves parallel, too wide for a cat, too deep for fingers. The second was a shot of a bed, sheets tangled violently, pillow shredded with claw marks. The third I stared at too long. It was a figure, pale, hairless, crouched in the corner of the bedroom, joints bent wrong, eyes glinting white from the flash. Its mouth hung open, jaw slack, too wide. Her husband's diary entry was dated a week before his death. I keep waking to the sound of breathing. At first I thought it was Erin, but it's too ragged, too wet, like an animal with lungs full of mud. Last night I opened my eyes and saw something crouched at the foot of the bed. Pale, thin, watching. Couldn't move, couldn't scream. When I blinked, it was gone. But the sheets were torn. A week later, Erin said, he was found in their backyard. His throat cut deep, eyes wide open, as if he died mid-scream. The coroner wrote it off as self-inflicted. Erin didn't believe that. Neither did I. The Rake's pattern. Over the years, more stories surfaced. Families reporting a hairless animal in their yard. Campers waking to find claw marks carved into their tents. Hunters stumbling on deer carcasses gutted with surgical precision. And always the same detail. A pale, humanoid figure crouched low to the ground, eyes reflecting in the dark, watching. It never attacked right away. It waited. That was the part that stuck with me. Predators kill quickly, but the Rake observes. The cabin tapes. In 2015, a group of college students rented a cabin in upstate New York. One of them, Marcus, kept a camcorder running at night, half as a joke, half to record their trip. On the third night, the tape caught something. At 2:19 a.m., the audio picked up scratching. At first, soft like branches against glass. Then louder, closer. The camera swung toward the window. For a moment, only trees swayed in the wind. Then, between the trunks, 2 glowing eyes. Low to the ground. Unblinking, the figure darted closer. Too fast, too smooth, like a spider skittering sideways. Pressed against the glass. Pale skin. Long fingers tipped with claws. A mouth hanging open, lips peeled back. The students screamed. The camera jolted, fell, the feed cutting into static. When it returned, the window was shattered. The sheets were torn, and the sound of ragged breathing filled the room. The tape ended there. Police found the cabin ransacked. Blood on the floor. No bodies. The case remains unsolved. My encounter. For years I cataloged these stories, but they were always secondhand. Reports, recordings, threads on forums. Until 2019, I woke at 3:07 a.m. to a sound I couldn't place. Not footsteps, not the house settling. Breathing. Bit. Heavy. Animal. I froze. My eyes adjusted slowly, shapes bleeding out of the dark. And at the foot of my bed, I saw it. Crouched low. Pale skin glowing faintly in the moonlight. Limbs too long, folded wrong. Its fingers pressed into the sheets, claws dimpling the fabric. And its face, God, its face. Eyes wide, reflecting white. Mouth hanging open, jaw sagging like it had never learned how to close. It didn't move. It didn't blink. It just watched me. Couldn't scream. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't do anything but stare back. And then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it slipped backward into the shadows, vanishing through the open window without a sound. I lay frozen until morning. When I finally got up, I found 4 deep scratches in the wood of the window frame. The files. Since then, I've collected every report I could. Police files, diary entries, recordings. They all described the same thing. A pale, hairless humanoid figure. Long claws, joints bent wrong. Breathing heavy and wet. Appears at night, often around 2 to 3 a.m. Watches. Waits. Sometimes whispers. Leaves claw marks behind. And sometimes, when it's done watching, people don't wake up at all. I used to think it was fiction. But fiction doesn't leave scars on wood. And it doesn't watch you breathe. The Rake. It watches while you sleep. Part 2. The worst part of the Rake isn't what it does. It's what it doesn't. It doesn't chase you through the woods. It doesn't smash your door down. It doesn't even kill right away. It just watches. And once it's seen you, you'll never feel alone again. The missing family. The second file Keller gave me wasn't from a college prank or an urban legend forum. It was a police report from 2006. The Johnson family, for members, reported missing from their farmhouse in Pennsylvania. The responding officer wrote, "Front door unlocked. No forced entry. Kitchen table set for breakfast. Food spoiled. Family dog found dead in the yard. Eviscerated. Deep claw marks on the back door. Spaced evenly, like made by human hands with talons. Upstairs bedroom. Sheets shredded. Mattress soaked in blood. No bodies recovered. Neighbors reported hearing screams around 3 a.m. 2 nights before. One described seeing a naked man crawling on all fours in the fields. The case went cold. 2 years later, a hunter stumbled on a shallow pit in the woods behind the property. Inside were bones, facets, picked clean, arranged carefully in a circle as if posed. At the center of the circle, scratched into the dirt, "I watch. The hospital encounter." Another file dated 2010 described a patient in psychiatric care. A young man named Daniel, admitted for sleep paralysis and night terrors. His notes read like classic hallucinations. Waking in the night, unable to move, a pale creature crouched at the foot of the bed. But then the doctor's tape recorder captured something. The session began calmly. "Doctor, what did you see last night?" "Daniel." He was closer. He whispered. "Doctor." "Whispered what?" "Daniel." He said, "Not yet." The tape caught a noise then. Not Daniel. Not the doctor. Breathing. Bit. Ragged. Right beside the mic. The doctor swore they were alone in the room. Daniel was found dead 2 nights later. His throat torn open. The coroner called it suicide. The Reddit thread. In 2018, a thread appeared on r/paranormal titled, "Does anyone else see him at night?" The OP described waking to find a pale, crouched figure by their bed. Comments poured in. "You mean the Rake? Yeah, I've seen him too. Scratches on my window frame. Look familiar. Attached photo of 4 deep grooves. My dog wouldn't stop barking. Then silence. Found him dead the next morning." The thread was locked within hours, but the screenshots spread. One reply still makes my skin crawl. "He's not a dream. He's the gap between waking and sleeping. That's why you can't move. He sits in that space and waits for you to notice. Once you do, he follows you home." Ring camera footage. By 2020, home security cameras made sightings harder to dismiss. One clip showed a suburban backyard at 2:46 a.m. A pale figure crawled across the lawn on all fours, moving too smoothly, joints bending backward. It stopped under a window, stood, slowly, bones popping, skin stretching until it loomed tall and thin, pressed a hand against the glass. Long claws scraped down, leaving for deep marks. Then it turned to the camera. His face was smooth, almost featureless. No sé. No ears. Just a gaping mouth hanging open. The feed cut out for 6 seconds. When it came back, the backyard was empty. The homeowner moved within a week. My return. I wanted to believe it was all noise. Shared delusion. Sleep paralysis. Viral creepypasta dressed in police reports. But every time I tried to bury it, the scratches reminded me. For grooves carved into the wood of my own window frame. I hadn't fixed them. I hadn't dared. One night, against my better judgment, I set a recorder by my bed. Just audio. At 2:59 a.m., the tape caught something. Breathing.
Vet.
Heavy. Right beside the mic. Then the sound of claws dragging across fabric. My sheets. And finally, a whisper. Awake. Keller's warning. I brought the tape to Keller. He didn't laugh. He didn't doubt. He just looked tired. You shouldn't have recorded it, he said. Why not? Because the moment you prove he's there, he knows you know. That's when he stops waiting. What does he want? I asked. Keller leaned back, voice hoarse. He doesn't want anything. Wanting is human. He just watches until you break. Then he finishes it. And if I leave? Keller shook his head. He doesn't care about places. He cares about people. Once he's looked at you, you can move across the country. He'll still be at the foot of your bed. The present. I haven't slept properly in weeks. Every night I wake around 3 a.m. Every night I hear the breathing. Sometimes faint. Sometimes close enough to stir the hair on my arms. I've stopped opening my eyes. I know what's there. But last night I slipped. I glanced. And there he was, crouched by the window, pale, watching. When I squeezed my eyes shut, I felt the mattress dip, as if something had climbed onto the bed. I didn't move, didn't breathe. The breathing hovered inches from my ear. And then, for the first time, it whispered again. Soon. That's where I am now. Keller told me not to write this. He said spreading it makes it stronger. But if I disappear, if my body ends up in the woods with my throat torn open, someone needs to know. Because the rake isn't a story. He's the silence between breaths. The shadow at the edge of the bed. The eyes you feel on you when you wake at 3 a.m. and can't move. And if you're reading this, if you're picturing him crouched in your room right now, that means he's already watching you too. The rake. It watches while you sleep. Part 3, Conclusion. Keller told me once that there are 3 stages with the rake. Stage 1, you hear him. Stage 2, you see him. Stage 3, he touches you. And no one lives past stage 3. The last meeting. The last time I saw Keller, he looked worse than I did. He hadn't shaved in weeks, his eyes were red. His hands shook when he tried to light his cigarette. He's closer now, Keller said, voice cracked. I wake up and he's not at the foot of the bed anymore. He's beside it. I don't open my eyes, but I can feel his breath, like someone leaning over me, waiting for me to look. Why don't you leave? I asked. He laughed bitterly. You still don't get it. You don't leave the rake. Once he's found you, you're his. He doesn't care about walls or locks or addresses. He just waits. Keller slid me a flash drive. If I don't make it, use this. Proof. Someone needs to believe. 2 nights later, he was gone. His neighbors reported screaming at 3:12 a.m. Police found his bedroom shredded. Sheets and ribbons, mattress soaked with blood. The window frame carved with deep gouges. No body. The only thing left behind was his phone, recording a 46-second clip. The first 20 seconds were breathing.
Vet. Raged.
Then Keller's voice whispering, Don't touch me. And finally, a low growl, animal and human at once, followed by silence. The file ended there. The safe house. I tried running. I packed what I could and drove 3 states away, checking into a cheap motel. A single bed, buzzing light, paper-thin walls. That night, I locked the door, closed the curtains, and left the bathroom light on. I told myself this was neutral ground. He couldn't find me here. At 3:04 a.m., the breathing started. Soft at first, like wind pushing through a crack. Then louder.
Beta.
Heavier. I sat frozen in bed, clutching the flashlight I'd left on the nightstand. When I clicked it on, the beam landed on the corner of the room. And there he was, crouched low, pale skin stretched tight over bones, joints bent backward, fingers splayed across the carpet, claws digging in. His eyes reflected white. His mouth hung open, too wide, lips pulled back in a grin that wasn't a grin at all. He didn't move. He didn't blink. He just watched me for nearly 5 minutes. Then the light flickered once, twice, and when it steadied, he was gone. On the carpet where he'd crouched were 4 deep grooves, cut into the cheap motel floor. The diary entry. I thought about Erin's husband. The diary entry she'd sent me years ago. At the foot of the bed. Watching. Couldn't move. Now I understood. Because that's the Rake's game. He doesn't kill right away. He wants you to know he's there. Wants you to break piece by piece. Every night you wake a little earlier. Every night he's a little closer. Until finally, you can't wake up at all. The final tape. The last recording on Keller's drive was labeled simply, "Don't watch." Of course I watched. It was shaky camcorder footage, timestamped 3:11 a.m. The camera sat on a dresser, facing a bed. Keller's bed. First, just silence. Then the sheets shifted, though Keller didn't move. The mattress dipped, like something had climbed onto it. The camera tilted slightly, as if nudged by a claw. And then, slowly, a pale figure crawled into frame. The Rake. His mouth hung open, dripping. Its eyes shone white in the dark. It leaned over Keller's sleeping body, nose inches from his face, breathing raggedly. For 20 full seconds, it just watched him. Then, in a voice that scraped like rusted metal dragged across stone, it whispered one word. Now. The camera fell. Static. That was the last footage Keller ever left behind. My final night. I'm writing this now because I know it's my turn. I hear him every night. The scratching on the window frame. The breathing by the bed. The weight dipping the mattress. Last night, I felt his fingers brush my arm. Cold. Bone thin. The first touch. Stage 3. I won't survive it. But someone needs to know. Because the Rake isn't just a story. He's a rule. He waits for you to notice him. He waits for you to look. And once you do, he never leaves. The report. If you're reading this after the fact, if the police find this file, here's what they'll say. Self-inflicted wounds. Sleep paralysis. Delusional fixation. That's what they always say. But look at the claw marks in my window frame. Look at the scratches in my floor. Listen to the recordings. And when you wake at 3 a.m. and hear breathing in the dark, you'll know I was right. Conclusion. The Rake is real. He's been here for decades, maybe longer. He doesn't hunt for food, he doesn't kill for pleasure. He just waits, watches, breathes, and when the time comes, he whispers the same word he whispered to Keller. The same word he whispered to me last night. Now, I don't know if I'll make it through tonight, but if you're reading this, if you've pictured him crouched at the foot of your bed while I've been telling you this story, that means he's already in your room too. So whatever you do, don't open your eyes. Don't listen too long. And don't forget to breathe. Because he is, right now, watching.